NASCAR Heat 5 is slated to be out this week, for some earlier than others, including myself. I really appreciate 704 and NASCAR Heat reaching out, basically giving me early access of the game. I gotta say, definitely some minor improvements. I'd say Heat 5 is basically a small facelift of NASCAR Heat 4, but it got me thinking of the bigger picture, the future of NASCAR console gaming. I gotta be honest with you, man. You know, I thought about this for a while and really decided to make a video on this. Today, we're only going to focus on in-game immersion and gameplay. Those are the only two main factors we're going to be talking about, and I think those are the two most important. So let's get into it. When we take a look back at where we were in terms of NASCAR console gaming about a decade ago, I'd say we were at a crossroads. We were just getting out of the EA contract, Technics was taking over, and to be honest, looking back, we really took Technics for granted. Now granted, I know they weren't the best company in the world, and honestly, their level of care wasn't the best either, but still, their games weren't entirely terrible. You know, looking back at the first game, NASCAR The Game 2011, that was the most hyped up NASCAR trailer I had ever seen. But at the same time, the execution of the game was absolutely piss poor. And then over time, they improved until a new company stepped up. Duschenberry Martin Racing. Yes, OGs remember that name too. It was a brand new company, on the block, and they had the NASCAR license. It was a bit of a shocker and a bit of a transition away from what we used to do. I mean, like I said, EA Sports, Technics, these guys have, big budgets, in the pipeline. This was basically a startup company getting the NASCAR license. Not a lot of people knew what to expect, including myself. To put it bluntly, the Duschenberry Martin era was an absolute disaster. They started off pretty well at first. NASCAR 15 was released. Now granted, that was made by Technics, but Duschenberry Martin Racing was the publisher. But the next game, NASCAR Heat Evolution on the PS4. As the great RealRadman put it in his last upload, worst NASCAR game of all time. And then soon after that, there was a lot of changes with the company, and they rebranded to 704 Games. 704 is the Charlotte area code. NASCAR Heat 2 was a massive improvement compared to Heat Evolution. Then Heat 3 was a giant improvement compared to Heat 2. And then in the fall of 2018, NASCAR decided to sign 704 Games to a 10-year contract to be the exclusive publisher for NASCAR Console Gaming. Today, 704 Games has a new developer in motorsports games. Monster Games, the original NASCAR Heat developer from the early 2000s, is no longer involved. There's been a lot of talk about a brand new gaming engine coming into the NASCAR Heat series, and when it is on the next-gen consoles, that's gonna be when NASCAR Heat finally takes off, where it's finally gonna be somewhat at the same level as Formula 1 or maybe a Project Cars 2. I'm not going to comment on that any further. I'll believe it when I see it. The question I'm trying to ask, though, is that how hyped were you for this year's game? To be honest, from my perspective, I wasn't all that hyped this year. Now, that's nothing against 704 Games. There's some nice people over there, and they were nice enough to give me early access. They did for Heat 4, and they did the same thing for Heat 5, and I'm really grateful for that. But if we're going to be honest here, my level of excitement, anticipation, and hype compared to where it was during the old EA days, it is nowhere near there. I remember waking up for Christmas as a kid and being so excited to get NASCAR 2005 Chase for the Cup, and especially NASCAR 06 Total Team Control. The level of gameplay and immersion in those games were absolutely spectacular. I would like to see a return to glory days. Now, whether we are on the right path towards that, like I said, only time will tell. I'll believe it when I see it. For NASCAR Heat 5, though, the level of gameplay and immersion is still the same as it was in Heat 4. Like I said, it's a tiny facelift. The physics were touched up a little bit, the graphics are definitely the same, but the career mode, man, the career mode, I just can't fully embrace the NASCAR Heat career modes just yet. I am glad they were able to add in-game stats again and keeping track of other driver statistics. I am really happy about that. The level of attention to detail that NASCAR fans have for their own video game is absolutely extraordinary. And that really goes back to the old career modes we used to have in the NASCAR Thunder days. I mean, go play NASCAR Thunder 2002 through 2004. You can go up to 20 seasons in each career mode, drivers retire, other drivers take over their spots. Now, I know due to licensing issues and contracts that they can't necessarily do that now, but here's the thing. F1 2019 was really the first game to really perfect that. Now, I know some of y'all are laughing because you're like, Darian, have you played F1 2019 career mode? I mean, some of those driver transfers were absolutely atrocious. In mine, I had Lewis Hamilton going to Red Bull immediately after season 1. I'm like, what the hell? This makes no sense. But the point being that they at least tried it, and they did it without any sort of permission from anybody. And it ended up working. Now, Formula 1 has a much different licensing agreement compared to NASCAR, but I would like to see if 704 Games will at least take a chance on it. Gameplay is somewhat improved. Online, the physics are still the same as they were in Heat 4. I'd say, just a little tiny sliver of improvements when it comes to physics. In my opinion, if your career mode really isn't doing it for me, then I'm going to rely on the gameplay to really keep me involved. I only play the NASCAR Heat series strictly for online gameplay, whether I'm streaming or I'm in other streams. You guys always see me in both IDK Players and Michael Maroots' streams. I love playing with them and you guys on Heat. So as far as gameplay is concerned, they are moving in the right direction, and as far as online gameplay, I wouldn't touch up on it that much. I don't expect a complete overhaul with that. I mean, obviously touch up on the physics. When we make the transition over to next gens, I assume that the online gameplay will probably be the best it has ever been in the NASCAR Heat series. And really, that's all I have for this video. I mean, if we're going to talk about the future of NASCAR console gaming, like I said, I think we are at a crossroads. We are either going to move forward or take 10 steps backwards. Only time will tell. Now, I know some people have been saying, well, Darian, I don't think it matters. 704 Games has, they signed a 10-year deal, blah, blah, blah. Here's the thing, though. It's a contract. And if 704 Games does not hold up their end of the bargain, contracts are meant to be broken. I'm not saying I don't want them to fail. I am rooting for them. Whoever is making the NASCAR games, it does not matter. I am rooting for you. Now, I know some guys can't say the same, but I am speaking for myself. I and many others are rooting for you. If I told you that I have never been frustrated with this company, I would be lying. It is a small company still, but to be honest, I love an underdog, okay? I will always root for the underdog. And with Motorsports Games backing this underdog company, I would like to think the future is bright. Only time will tell. We will wait and see. Anyways, let me know down in the comments what you think. What does the future hold for NASCAR console gaming? Is 704 Games going to be around for a long time, or will NASCAR move in a different direction? Let me know down below. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. This is BlackFlagsMatter. Catch you next time.